The Iowa House passes a mental health reform bill that Republicans like, Democrats don't. We're going to talk with State Representative Lisa Heddens about that. Also, State Representative Dan Kelly is joining me today, as is Nikisha Phillips. And we've got plenty to talk about the latest Branstad hypocrisies. And we're going to look at some other issues as well, including the horrific snow that's already falling in Des Moines. No, actually, that's later in the day. We'll be back in a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ed Fallon here, folks. Gateway Market and Cafe is your locally owned source for specialty groceries. Enjoy chef-crafted, prepared foods, artisan baked goods, organic produce, specialty cheeses, and hand-selected wines and craft beer. Visit the lively cafe for breakfast, lunch, or dinner 7 days a week. Gateway Market is centrally located on the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Woodland Ave. Stop by or visit www.gatewaymarket.com for more details. That's Gateway Market, folks. Good food, great community.
This moment of silence brought to you by Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, home of Des Moines' premier rooftop dining experience. Located in the heart of Beaverdale, Tally's offers speedy and affordable rooftop lunch, catering for events both large and small, innovative cuisine, as well as vegetarian and gluten-free menus. Come to Tally's for live music, dry-aged steaks, Sunday brunch, and all-you-can-eat ribs every Monday night. Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering at 2712 Beaver Avenue. Call 279-2067. That's 279-2067.
On March 28th, Equal Justice After Hours is Iowa Legal Aid's annual fundraiser that helps provide access to justice for low-income Iowans. The event includes a reception and program at the Temple for the Performing Arts in Des Moines. It also includes remarks by Georgetown University law professor Peter Edelman and the induction of Robert Oberbilly into the Iowa Legal Aid Hall of Fame. Tickets start at $50 and sponsorship opportunities are available. Contact Terry Bennett at tbennett@iowalaw.org. That's tbennett@iowalaw.org.
Ludwig van Beethoven here. I used to be so tired all the time, not from composing and playing, but from moving my piano. But now I feel so much better. I call S&P Piano and they will bring my piano anywhere. They also sell and rent pianos, used ones, new ones. You get the idea.
Call S&P Piano right away at 208-6453. That's 208-6453.
S&P Piano.
I'm a burrito.
I'm a fighting burrito, full of fresh ingredients prepared before your very eyes.
I don't have eyes.
I have over 28 options and 268 million combinations, including Rizzo for vegetarians.
I can take my meat off and call myself vegetarian.
Put that back on. The Fighting Burrito is locally owned.
I'm owned by some big corporation somewhere. Say, you want to go on a date?
No thanks. I'm seeing a quesadilla.
The Fighting Burrito online, fightingburrito.com. Join the fight.
I love driving to Newton to see the races.
Me too, but I only have to drive across town.
You live in Newton?
Yep, Newton's got small town charm and it's close to Des Moines. I love the safe, friendly neighborhoods and family-owned businesses. And Newton's wind energy industry is really taking off.
How'd you find your home?
Dan Kelly with First Choice Realty. And Dan helped me find my office too.
Next time, instead of just speeding by, I'll stop in and check out Newton.
Why don't you check out Newton? Call Dan Kelly at 641-521-9260 or Dan Kelly at mchsi.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It is cold out here as we look behind me and see the wreckage that used to be I-235. Who demand?
I demand.
Right, yeah. A bike in this weather. Who demand?
I demand.
Yeah. Okay, bike. Pretty good. We'll see what you do when the snow actually comes down. Probably going to hole up, right?
No way. I'm going to sled.
You're going to sled?
I'm a sled.
I want to see a bike sledding. I think that would be cool, especially a talking bike, because I want to know what happens when the talking bike approaches a tree. Does it yell or does it just take its lumps?
Well, it really depends. I think that I can just take it as I go.
All right. Well, let's be honest with folks. The snow has not yet hit Des Moines, and it's probably not going to hit here for a little bit. So, yeah, the scene behind us is some other interstate all crammed up. Hopefully it won't get that bad here. We've got some important issues to talk about today, including mental health care. There is a conversation going on at the place behind me there, the Iowa State Capitol building. And Democratic State Representative Lisa Heddens is an important part of that conversation. The bill would appropriate, the bill as passed by the Iowa House would appropriate $11.6 million to help counties as they transition to some changes in providing mental health care services. Some folks are saying it's nowhere near enough money. Some saying it's fine. So that's the debate right now. Maybe there are other issues besides the monetary value, but I'd like to get a take on the monetary question first from Lisa Heddens. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for the invitation to be here this afternoon. I appreciate it. Yeah, there is a little bit of discrepancy in regards to the amount of money needed for the transition from our current county system as we move into the new regional system. Counties are stating that in order to maintain their current level of services as described in the legislation, they need to have the dollars to continue funding those individuals which are deemed non-Medicaid. So they are not on our Medicaid rolls, but they...
So they're folks who aren't quite poor enough to qualify for Medicaid, but they still need assistance and they still can't afford the full price tag.
Exactly. And they also may be individuals that have applied, for example, for disability, but that determination hasn't come through yet. And that can be a relatively long process, anywhere from 1 to 2 years for someone to be determined disabled, but still need a significant amount of services.
Okay. So the question, the $11.6 million that was appropriated in the House bill, that was based on the House Republicans' analysis of the problem, or are they basing it on something from the front lines, from some other resource?
Actually, their recommendation came from one of the scenarios through the Department of Human Services. Over the interim, several groups were meeting, looking at the financial feasibility, looking at the children's work group, looking at brain injury. So we had several different interim groups going. The department was going out, meeting with various counties to figure out where they were at in their financial situations, and then came up with 3 scenarios. Their recommendation, or of the 3 scenarios, the first recommendation, or scenario 1, was that 26 counties needed some dollars, some transition dollars, again, from going from our current county system to our regional system.
And do those tend to be urban counties, rural counties, or is it a mix?
It's a mixture of both.
Okay.
A mixture of both. The second scenario narrowed that down to, I think it was about 13 counties or so, at about $5.6 million. And then the last recommendation was about 3 counties at about $1.4 million. The Department of Human Services' initial recommendation was scenario 3. But we, as legislators on the legislative interim committee, listened to counties, and there's discrepancy over what numbers they were looking at.
And so again, scenario 3 was how much? What was the price tag on that?
Scenario 3 was about $1.4 million.
Okay, so again, 11.6 is a lot more than that.
Absolutely, it is.
Okay, so the department itself was recommending a level that was incredibly lower than what the House Republicans were willing to agree to.
Exactly.
Now that's I guess that, I mean, I'm surprised that the Human Services Department came in with an estimate so low. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised.
Well, I guess I'd have to say that there were a number of us on that legislative committee who felt that there were many more counties that needed that financial assistance to maintain services. I do think part of their process is they were looking at fund balances that counties had, and if they had a fund balance, it was kind of determined, well, you don't need transition funds. The challenge is a county may have some fund balance, but not enough because of the bills that they've accrued. That they have to pay. So it was kind of like the whole picture wasn't taken into account.
Folks, we're talking with State Representative Lisa Heddens, a Democrat from Ames, regarding the mental health care bill that recently passed the Iowa House. If you'd like to join the conversation, it's 244-0077 or toll-free 855-244-0077. And you can email me at Fallon Forum gmail.com. So regarding the differences over money, Lisa, I know there was, even when I was in the legislature, and even early in my time in the legislature, there was a debate over the need to restructure how mental health services were delivered at the county level. And that restructuring has taken place to some extent. And I think that's fair to say, correct?
Yes.
And now, but even beyond the issue of money, there are other questions about the extent of services and those kinds of issues. Are those playing into the conversation at all?
Well, exactly. What we've done is restructured our whole mental health and disability delivery system that was taken at the county level, looking at what the county's portion of what they provided and what the state did. Part of the legislation we passed last year was that the state would buy out the Medicaid portion from counties. So they took over all the Medicaid responsibility. So that was one avenue that provides a little bit more, stability, you'd say, within the system, in particular for counties. The challenge is we scooped all the money from the counties except for their levy dollars for them to be able to provide their services into cash flow, the level of services that they need to meet as we move from our current county system to our regional system. So that becomes one challenge for counties. Secondly, the legislation really identified some core services that really we didn't have in place before. What were some of the basic things we really felt that wherever you live, you should be able to have access to services?
Such as?
Such as might be supported community living, respite services, crisis care services, any of those.
And those vary from county to county quite a bit.
They do right now. They vary from county to county. And now we're just going to say we want this to be consistent wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And then the legislation that we passed last year also identified what would be called like Core Plus services. So as you have at least your basic services, these are additional services that we'd like counties to, or the regions to.
Now, is there any pushback from county boards of supervisors or local county DHS offices? How do they feel about the increased requirements? And I understand the logic behind having a consistent service across the state, but how is that affecting these folks at the local level, their budgets? What kind of response are they giving you?
Well, one of the challenges is first, they want to deliver the service. They see the people within their community who need the service, so that's their total focus. They want to provide the service. Some of the challenge with having, for example, the buyout of Medicaid has been some of the authorizations have taken longer than they had previously when you could just go through your local CPC, your central point of coordination for that determination. That's taking a little bit longer. That becomes a challenge if you don't have the staff at the administrative level to make those determinations, or if you're low on that's a consequence of having that takeover. You need to make sure you have the staff there to be able to respond. So that's one area that we need to make sure that we're taking a look at so that it is not becoming challenging to individuals.
So, in terms of issues on which there are partisan differences, there's less here than there might be on a lot of other issues.
I would agree. I would say that all of the colleagues that I work with, they understand and want to provide services to individuals with mental health and disability issues.
But still significant enough differences where with the Democratic Senate, we're likely to see a different bill approved by that chamber, and we're likely to see a conference committee on this to haggle over the differences.
Possibly. That we could do on that. I had sponsored during debate on it was up to $20 million. That was a recommendation for the transition funding that the Mental Health and Disabilities Governor-appointed commission recommended, as well as the Legislative Interim Committee. And the reason we did that was 32 counties had applied for transition funding. All of the counties could do it. We didn't know how much money was going to be there, but we all all were told to go ahead, if need be, for them to apply for transition funding. 32 of them did. The $11.6 million will fund 26 of those 32 counties. So six counties are going to make some significant cuts because they are going to be receiving
less money.
Well, they're receiving no money.
Well, okay. Under the House proposal, they would be seeing cuts. In other words.
Right. So six counties altogether will receive no funding, which will be cutting in services. Other counties that are receiving some money may get that money, but it may be less than what they need to pay back in their state bills.
Now, one more question, Lisa. Here in Polk County has done a good job at providing adequate mental health care services to people. I mean, that's my understanding of it from clients, from providers, from just studying this over the years. And as a result of that, are they not going to be receiving any of the additional money that would be appropriated?
Correct. They were one of the 6 that would not be receiving any additional dollars.
And the argument there is, okay, so here's a county that's done the right thing, that's gone the extra mile to make sure people in need have the care they need, the programs they need, and we're going to penalize them by not giving them any of this additional pool of money. What do you say to that argument?
Well, I personally think it's the wrong direction. When we look at the rising need of mental health services, we see it in our communities, in our schools that are dealing with that much more. We're hearing of it more on the national scene. Then we really need to put the dollars forward and make sure that we have the services available to those who need it. While we're trying to reorganize or redesign the adult system, we're also trying to do the children's delivery system. Right. As well. Really, they almost need to be done simultaneously so that you are not, I guess you'd almost say, pitting one group against another. You just want to make sure you have a seamless system, no matter what your age, where you are in the system, you've got access to the services that are necessary.
All right. Hey, Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
You're very welcome.
I hope you don't end up throwing your back out shoveling.
Yeah, me too.
Or slip on the ice, or any of those other fun things that come with a snowstorm.
Hopefully the weather won't be as bad as they're predicting, but we'll be prepared.
Right. All right. Well, hey, best of luck this year at the legislative session.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks. In a little bit, folks, Dan Kelly's going to join us, and later in the program, Nakisha Phillips, as we talk about her journey through pregnancy and her work with a doula and a midwife. But I got a few little political things to go over here first, and maybe I'll save some of these for later. The Governor Branstad that I served with when I was a state lawmaker, I never got along with him very well. We never saw much of him. He was always crisscrossing the state, cutting ribbons, schmoozing, shaking hands. He was always campaigning until the very tail end of his 4th term in office. This 5th term, we've seen a very aggressive Branstad, a Branstad that is pursuing lots of things. And I kind of wish, I long for the days when we had a less engaged Branstad, because I don't like much of what I see. And, I don't throw the word around lightly, but the word hypocrite comes to mind on a regular basis. And on two different stories in this week's news. Apparently Branstad is off to California. I mean, who wouldn't want to be off to California, right? He's calling it a happy hunting ground, and no, he's not looking for cheap wine or all the other cheap things you can find in California. He's going there to court businesses. He's looking for businesses to bring back to Iowa in his suit coat pocket. He says, quote, "What we do, we call on companies that already have an investment here, and we call on companies that are prospects." Okay, that means you call on any company. Yeah, if it's a company that has a link to Iowa already, I got that. If it's a company that is a prospect, that means it doesn't. So you call on any business that you think you can lure to this state. And Branstad's arguing that Iowa's efforts to reduce commercial taxes should make it attractive. Okay, now, of course, California Governor Jerry Brown was critical of a recent effort by Governor Rick Perry from Texas, who also did the same thing, trying to go to California to lure companies away. Brown dismissed it as a political stunt. I think Brown is wrong on that account. It's not a political stunt. It's the reality of what has become government's role in economic development, government's role in what used to be known as, charmingly, the free market. Okay, so a spokesman for Brown's office, who works in economic development and business development, said that studies show that these recruiting trips have no real impact on the state's economy. Well, I would argue with that too. If you're successful at convincing a business that you're going to offer them a big handout, and they're in a situation where they don't have a lot of capital investment, or maybe their capital investment is aging, who knows? It really depends on. It varies a lot from one industry to another, but it happens all the time where businesses pack up and leave. Heck, it even happens at the local level. Aviva moved out of Des Moines to West Des Moines. Wells Fargo partially moved to West Des Moines because West Des Moines was offering really, really big, juicy perks. Okay? So, a little quip by Brown's office that I thought was interesting. They're expecting up to 10 inches of snow in Iowa today. And if I was a governor, I'd plan a trip to California too. Anyway, it is hypocritical to me that, what would Governor Branstad say to Governor Jerry Brown coming here to Iowa and trying to lure away Iowa businesses? I mean, what would he say to that? He wouldn't like it. He wouldn't be happy. He would be unhappy. Badly. Anyway, excuse me, folks. The residual of the cold is kicking in with a little bit of a cough here. We're going to run to a break and talk more about the State House when we come back. I also want to talk about Jesse Jackson Jr. Sad to see what's happened to that guy. I want to reflect a little bit on my the one class I took at Chicago Theological Seminary. Literally one class in which he was a part of that as well. Obama, how can the guy lose with the polls showing him scoring points on every issue that he's working on? And I got a couple other things to talk about once I regain my voice. I do want to thank Gateway Market for sponsoring this segment of our show. I had a wonderful chicken soup dinner last night, which has me on the road to recovery. But the chicken bouillon I got from Gateway Market, it was key. It really helped make a difference in the quality of that soup, the flavor. As did the bay leaf and other herbs I got from Gateway. Of course, all the vegetables are from my garden, which is exciting. Keep those frozen and canned, and you can use them throughout the winter. But again, Gateway, a great place to get those vegetables if you don't have them, especially as we move towards spring and summer. They'll be getting a lot of that from local sources. So, folks, check them out. Thank them for supporting the Fallon Forum, and keep your money in the local community by supporting Gateway Market. I want to thank the Sierra Club and also the Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility for sponsoring this show, and I'll be back in a minute.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
The dawn of a new era begins.
Well, good morning. This is the 7th of June in the Lord's year 2010, and this is day 1 of WebcastOneLive.com. We will begin with Max World Live with my special guest, Tom Coates. In just a minute, there's Tom. Wait. Howdy. And we will be live for the very first time on Webcast One Live. Cafe, we're going to look back on this and say, gosh, remember that old day in history? Wonder where Walter Cronkite was. He must have been around hanging there too. But actually, it's the beginning of Webcast One Live. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Rob Spearman, and everybody who's put together this project together. And we're ready to go live now. So thanks for listening to MaxWorldLive.com.
I can't tell you that it's going real well from time to time, but it is going, man.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Neighbors, neighbors, folks, bringing us back to our conversation here on the Fallon Forum. And I want to thank Community CPA and Associates for sponsoring this segment of our show. And I want to welcome Dan Kelly to the studio.
Hey, thank you, Ed. I made it in through the snow and rain, and actually it's not fallen yet, but it's coming.
Well, you should see the picture we were using as our backdrop earlier, and with you with your scarf on.
Yes, I'm wearing a scarf. I'm ready for the storm. What do you think of that, Ed?
I think you're going to need more than just a scarf, maybe a coat.
Well, I've got a coat with me, but
I kind of have a hard time with this. I mean, Snowapalooza. Snowmageddon.
Snowpocalypse.
You know what this is? Snowpocalypse. You know what this is? This is normal winter weather.
It's unfortunate yeah, that's true.
There you are, Dan.
Hey, I've even got snow in the background.
Did you cause that traffic?
No,
that traffic accident?
I think that may be where we're headed this weekend, though, Ed.
It might be.
Wrapping things up at the Capitol, there's not a lot of activity there today. Everybody kind of headed home early because of the storm, not just senators and reps, but staff. And, we got a lot of visitors there. Lots of people come in from all over the state. So it's important that they be home during the snowpocalypse.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting that we market our storms now, isn't it?
Well, we have names.
Yeah, we have a name. It sounds like a movie. It's...
Yeah, or sounds like a hurricane.
A
combination of a hurricane and a movie.
Yeah, well, with all the changes to the climate, we're going to have a lot of sequels there.
A lot of sequels. Right, this will be worse than Star Wars.
Yeah.
So are we going to start naming droughts?
Oh, that's something to work on.
Yeah.
That who might be able to come up with a great name would be Representative Hunter. He's a very creative person. And I'm going to talk to him about that next week and see if we can come up with a name for the drought.
What if we have a week? What if we have a week long of perfect weather? Should we name that as well? I don't know. I mean, how silly do we
I'm not
get?
sure. Well, people like drama. I'm not sure if that would win any Oscars this weekend. It's all about the bling bling there, Ed. You got to get the Oscar nomination.
Speaking of winning Oscars,
yes.
Going
to ask my prediction?
Any predictions?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it, but I think Lincoln's probably going to win a lot lot of awards.
How about
It just seems like that's what's going to happen.
My vote would go with the gal from Beast from the Southern Wild, Quovenzene.
Okay,
Willis, little gal.
Sure.
5 years old when she did the.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Again, I didn't see that movie. I've been busy, Ed. I haven't had time to keep up on all these Oscar movies.
Well,
before I was elected,
you can blame me if you want.
Well, but I'm not really blaming anybody. It's just the way it is. But before I was elected, I always saw like at least 2 or 3 of the nominees, and followed it fairly closely. But this year, all I know about it is that Seth MacFarlane is the host. That's about as far as I've gotten on Oscars this time.
Well, in terms of issues, I mean, I was talking a bit about the. Branstad's trip to California.
Yes.
To lure businesses away.
Yeah.
And then he's bragging about this. I mean, if I was going to do something, if I was going to go steal something from somebody, I would be really, really sneaky about it. I would crawl off in the dead of night and not tell anybody what I was doing. I wouldn't announce it. How can anybody think this is behavior that we want to praise or compliment or even encourage? I mean, it's just it's horrible. I mean, how would you feel if if governors from other states came to Iowa and announced that they were here to take our businesses home with them.
Well, I wouldn't really like that, and maybe the tactics here are not appropriate. But I really don't have a problem with elected officials and even the governor, of course, letting businesses in other states know how great Iowa is to operate a business in, and to the work ethics here,
right,
and the quality of employees that they can get. I don't have a problem with spreading that message, but targeting California just because their taxes are higher, I'm not really for that, Ed.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you on it.
Well,
but still, we've got to draw a line somewhere. We have to let other states and businesses in those states know that Iowa is welcoming to business, and we've got a growing economy here.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Due to agriculture.
In part.
Yeah.
In large part. And my concern is that the message behind this, hey, come to Iowa, we're a great place for business, is, and if you do, we'll give you big subsidies.
Sure.
That's what bothers me, because that's happening more and more all the time. Now we have Principal Financial Group, getting a handout from the city of Des Moines and indicating that they will be going hat in hand to the state for additional monies, and they're not relocating anywhere.
Right.
They're building a skywalk, a private skywalk. They're redesigning the interior of their building to be more compatible with modern needs. They're not creating any new jobs, and yet they somehow have the boldness to think they can just demand, and I'm sure they're doing it politely, but still, they're asking for, and without any trouble at all, it seems, getting subsidies.
Well, again, as we've discussed before, I think these situations have to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. There were major efforts to bring the wind industry to Jasper County, and it worked.
Well, that made sense too, because we have so much wind here.
I don't think this is a black or white sort of issue. I think it's got to be looked at on a case-by-case basis, and
a big difference between what you said and what Principal is doing. I mean,
sure,
you said bring the wind industry to Iowa, and this is a new industry that had to locate somewhere. It might as well locate where the wind farms are, where the windy parts of the country are. That made a lot of sense.
Right.
And the other thing about Newton that made sense, you had an infrastructure that was no longer being used by Maytag. That made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But in this case, I mean, you got a company that is so strongly based in Des Moines.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to pack up they have so much investment there. They can't abandon that.
Well, I don't totally disagree with you, Ed. I tend to agree with your statements there, but we've also got to keep in mind when states are starting to go into other states and recruit businesses to come out of those states and move, we got to keep our eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
The Principal's a major employer in Des Moines and Central Iowa, and I'm not in favor on board with what's happening, but still we got to run a little defense every now and again to keep those employers here.
Okay, another sports and gaming metaphor.
Yeah.
Poker.
Yeah.
You ever play poker?
No, Ed. As you know, I'm not a big fan of gambling industry.
You can still play
gambling.
poker without actually gambling.
I've never played poker.
Okay.
No.
Well, there's an expression call the bluff.
I know that. I know that.
I say with Principal, we
phrase.
call their bluff.
Well, that may be what happens.
Anyway, we'll see. I was intrigued to know for those who like to say that, well, these kinds of online shows don't have any effect. I will say that the very day that I announced that I was questioning Principal's need for public money, their assistant director of media relations signed up for my updates. Anyway, to monitor stuff, I suppose. Okay, my other question.
I can't imagine anybody doesn't get your updates at this point.
Oh,
Ed.
you be me, yeah.
Yeah.
There are always a few unsubscribes. You said what? Unsubscribe me. Anyway, this week I took on Oliver Cromwell, and that's hard. It's hard.
Okay.
It's hard to make too many enemies taking on Oliver Cromwell.
I love it when you take on somebody I've never heard of, Ed.
Wait! You're an Irishman and you have not heard of Oliver Cromwell?
I got to admit I have not.
You, Maddie,
Ed, you need
have
to
this man thrown out of my studio immediately.
You need to educate me a bit here, Ed. Who is Oliver Cromwell?
Oliver Cromwell was the worst man in the world after Adolf Hitler and maybe a few others. He came to Ireland in 1650 and absolutely decimated the place. Okay. I mean, killing literally thousands of people in towns where there were only thousands of people living.
Okay.
And he destroyed the Fallon Castle, so it's personal.
It's personal.
Yeah.
He destroyed
he trashed my castle, killed my kinfolk. Probably killed a bunch of Kellys, too.
There was such a thing as the Fallon Castle
at one time.
Yes, there was.
And Oliver Cromwell was the last guest, and he behaved very, very badly.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he just wrecked it.
Okay. well, I hate to show my fault there, but I just did not know that story.
Okay, well,
the Fallon Castle sounds like a fascinating place.
I'm sure there's a Kelly Castle too.
Maybe somewhere. I don't know.
I'm also pretty sure that Oliver Cromwell trashed it.
Maybe our families feuded at one time, Ed.
Well, actually, we might be related.
We could be related
I
too.
have Kellys in my family.
Okay, we need to do some research. Right. Get an Ancestry.com or something.
But on to another Branstad issue, if you will.
Yes.
Branstad,
bring it on.
Here's the renewable fuels industry, folks. And again, it's a lot. I mean, I have mixed feelings about renewable fuels. I think we need to move beyond corn-based ethanol. But I love the headline here. Branstad takes on big oil over renewable fuels. I mean, what's your take on that, if any?
Well, I would not disagree with the headline. If he's taking on big oil, I'll be there right with him. But we've got to take on big oil.
I mean, if Branstad was really interested in taking on big oil,
sure,
he'd build that train track from Iowa City to Davenport.
Well, that's true.
You know, if he really wanted to, if big oil was his concern,
sure.
But I think he's just got a higher priority than his commitment to big oil, and that's his commitment to corn.
We all have a commitment to corn in Iowa.
Well, I know.
We should, Ed.
I know, but
it is what we do here.
But don't you think we need to be moving beyond corn-based ethanol to other options?
I do. I think that the corn-based ethanol is it is where we are at right now, and there is research being done. There's actually cellulosic plants popping up in different parts of the state. I think that we are taking a look at the new technologies and how they can be productive, but I'm going to support ethanol as well, Ed. I think that it's been a good product for Iowa. It lowers greenhouse gas emissions. It sells corn. It does some good things for us.
Yeah, and some people argue with some of that reasoning.
I totally understand that. And I'd like to consider myself a bit of an idealist, but I do believe, Ed, in a practical matter, ethanol is where we're at right now. Let's move towards the future. Let's move towards some new bio products. There's lots of great things going on in biodiesel right now. I'm going to support that industry. I'm glad the governor's standing up for them. And big oil is the enemy. Right. And politics makes strange bedfellows, Ed. And if the governor is against big oil, I'm against big oil right with him.
He's only against it in this instance. I mean,
but motivation is motivation, Ed. It's what we can accomplish. If we can do things with ethanol that reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, that promote an Iowa product, let's do that.
Okay, at the State House next week, would you do me a
favor?
favor?
Let's eliminate, every gallon of ethanol biodiesel that's created. That's another gallon that doesn't come over from the Middle East. It's another gallon we're not going to talk about, pumping into a pipeline that heads down to Texas so it can be put on a tanker and head to China.
We need to have more. We need to have a deeper conversation about ethanol.
I think so. I think we need to have deeper conversation about a few topics.
Oliver Cromwell and ethanol. There we go. Let's I want to welcome again, folks. If you want to call, it's 244-0077 or toll free 855-244-0077.
I hear music coming here, Ed.
We have music.
I do.
That's because we have Elvis's love child on the phone. Frank from Des Moines, welcome to the show.
Oh, that's the king.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much.
Nice way to play along, Frank. How are you today?
Yeah, good. Hey, your mic's a little high or something. I'm getting a lot of feedback.
My mic is high?
Yes.
Now he's doing tech stuff, Ed.
My mic is high. My mic. Maddie? What has my mic been smoking?
Frank has been such a frequent caller; he can tell when our tech stuff is off a little. Yes. How you doing, Ed? How you doing there, Frank?
Oh man, I got so many comments here, but I'll try to confine it to a couple here.
Yeah, we believe in confinements.
Ed, me and Goldman's getting ready to sit down here and watch our favorite fossil fuel sport, NASCAR.
Hey, they know you are wrong, Frank. NASCAR runs on ethanol, and so does the IndyCar series.
And then,
does it really?
Yes.
And you should have a NASCAR connection, Dan, over there in Newton.
Absolutely.
Sure does, yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
anyway,
And that ethanol comes from Missouri.
I'll know
actually.
that Dan scored big with NASCAR when he gets Danica Patrick to do a commercial for him the next election.
I'm working on it.
You're working on it, really?
I have met her. But
Really?
I've not had a chance to
given
ask for
lip
the commercial.
You've given lip service over the years to the free market. And
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, no. I'm a big believer in the free market. It's our government that gives lip service to the free market.
Okay. Well, we live in a world of free trade. We have
Well, we don't anymore.
have the pretense of a free market. So if somebody offers you a similar product at a cheaper price, what's any more free market than that?
Okay, the problem is, Frank, what you just said is wrong because it's not the same price. There's lots of public money. My tax dollars are being used to distort the market.
Okay, but I'm talking about the principles of free market. For example, if I'm sitting here watching a commercial and Geico or some insurance company comes on and says to another customer at another insurance company, hey, we can save you up to 15%.
Well, your first problem is you're listening to a lizard.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't particularly like Geico because I called them and they was going to actually cost me a 200% increase. But the point being is, if somebody says they're willing to give you the same product at a reduced price, that hits right at the principles of the free market. And if another country or another state is offering something higher, and somebody else says, hey, I can do this better, my employees will work.
Yeah, no argument there, Frank. The problem is that's not what happens anymore. Elected officials who often get to their positions of power because of influence from big money use our money, taxpayers' money, to lure companies to states to keep them there, just to give them, in the case of Principal, just to give them a handout. I mean, Principal's not going to leave. Anyway.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. If California's doing the same thing, they're giving tax breaks and giving stuff to these companies. So if we offer less tax breaks or more tax breaks, and we can get somebody in here, that's free market.
Somebody has to call their bluff, and it's not going to be Dan because he hasn't played poker. But no, actually, maybe Dan will call their bluff.
I don't even watch it on TV yet.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you say to Frank's? Again, maybe you're somewhere between the two of us on this.
I think I'm somewhere between the two of you. Quite honestly,
uncomfortable place to be. Really.
It is a very uncomfortable place to be.
He comes from the planet Real.
Thank you, Frank.
And you come from the.
That's one of the nicest compliments I've ever gotten from Frank.
Listen, you
maybe the only compliment.
You face reality as you find it, or you try to face reality as you want it to be. And Dan sounds like he's trying to face reality as he finds it. Ed has got this dream of what reality should be.
And then we move toward that reality.
Dan's more realistic about it. Says, I got to deal with what's on the facts that's on the table.
Sounds like a supporter, Dan.
Frank, I'm having a fundraiser in a couple of weeks. I'd like to invite you to come out.
So when you get that Danica Patrick commercial lined up, you can do one with Frank from Des Moines as well.
That's right. I don't know which endorsement's better, actually.
Get on Jesse Jackson Jr. yet?
What?
Have you got a chance to get on Jesse Jackson Jr. yet? Because I just got a small comment about old Jesse.
You make a comment about Jesse, I'm going to move to a break, and then I'll share my story with you later. About him later.
I have a Jesse Jackson story.
This is the hypocrisy of entitlement. You see, Jesse Sr. went out and boycotted Budweiser because there wasn't enough blacks, employed or in high positions or whatever. And so, he got his boys 2 beer distributorships, I think at $8 million loans, no interest. Okay? Now, I don't know how many loans you've gotten in your life, Ed, for $8 million and no interest.
I haven't got too many loans in my life, other than student and home.
Okay, but the bottom line is these people have filled their pockets, on somebody's expense. And then when you see this guy living in the lap of luxury, spending money, campaign funds that hardworking people sent into his campaign.
Yeah, $750,000.
Well, that may just be the tip of the iceberg. When they get investigating it, they might find out it's really more than that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this is the height of hypocrisy of the people who's supposed to be looking out for the downtrodden.
You know, it's a hypocrisy. It's a sense of entitlement, whether you're Jesse Jackson Jr. or whether you're Principal Financial.
I know, but here's the problem, Ed. It is the Democrats who are going around saying that they're for the working man, they're for the working class, they're for the downtrodden. You know, the big bad Republicans got the reputation. They're taking advantage of all these people. And the Democrats are saying, hey, vote for us because we won't do that. We're looking out for you. And then you got Jesse Jackson on the take like that. That just smacks of hypocrisy.
Well, and again, it's let me move on, Frank. Thank you for the call. I got to move on.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much.
Let me ask. I think hypocrisy happens on both sides of the aisle, and there's good people on both sides of the aisle, but
Yes, I agree with that.
But maybe better people on the Democratic side of the aisle.
Oh,
Yeah. But I mean, what's...
Well, I think our philosophy and what we're about is geared towards the middle class and working people, and I think that that is really where our focus needs to be in this country, in this state.
Yeah.
But Jesse Jackson Jr. has clearly done some things he should not have done.
I mean, astoundingly.
And, yeah.
I mean,
it's just unethical.
It's just amazing. I mean, Illinois, what is wrong with that place? I mean,
right.
Barack Obama seems like the squeakiest, cleanest politician I've ever seen. It's hard to believe he's from Illinois, the state that has 3 governors who went to jail, or prison rather, and you have Jesse Jackson, his wife, both probably going to be doing prison time. And of course, Jackson in 1995 took over that congressional seat from Mel Reynolds, who resigned after being convicted of statutory rape. It is just astounding to me how many politicians in Illinois fall into problems.
Well, and also, I mean, it's astounding that they catch these guys too.
Well,
Illinois.
That's not astounding to me.
No.
You think? Why is that astounding?
Well, I mean, sometimes I think these things happen and no one finds out about it.
Well,
I think
you have to wonder. I guess
you have to look at it from a bit of a stance where these guys did things wrong.
So
they were held accountable for it.
What's your Jackson story?
Oh, when I went to Newton High School in the late 80s, and that was during a presidential caucus year, 1988. And we had every single presidential candidate in both parties visit Newton High School during that 1 year. And when I registered to vote, it was Jesse Jackson who handed me my voter registration card.
Jesse Jackson Sr.?
Senior, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Really?
The Jesse Jackson handed me my voter registration card.
Interesting.
So, yeah, just an interesting spot there. And then my first caucus, I went and caucused for Al Gore, and it was a great experience.
1988?
1988, my
you
first
caucused
caucus.
for Al Gore?
I did.
You were the only person in Iowa who caucused for Al Gore in 1988.
Well, no.
He finished last in Iowa.
Yeah, well,
he wanted to lose Iowa. Do you remember how badly Al Gore wanted to lose Iowa? He was holding us up as an example of the problem. He wasn't even going to campaign here.
Well, in my caucus, we had 5 people together. We were a viable group. We got him a vote.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I did not know.
My caucus skills started early, Ed.
This is a new thing, Dan.
I rounded up 4 of my friends. We got him a vote.
So you've learned about Oliver Cromwell today, and I've actually met somebody who caucused for Al Gore in 1988.
Yes.
That's hilarious. All right, well, I caucused with Jesse Jackson in 1988.
Okay.
And then, what year was
he
it?
was he was my second choice. I would have gone there if Gore had not been viable.
Yeah. All right, well, that's an interesting switch from Gore to Jackson.
I was young, Ed, but still,
young and idealistic.
Yes.
Still idealistic, but
I'm middle-aged and idealistic now.
Well,
but I think I'm a little more practical than sometimes
it might have.
You might realize, Ed.
Oh, yeah, I know. I realize you.
Frank identified it today.
He did indeed. Yes,
an uncommon source.
I think the Frank from Des Moines endorsement is coming up here soon.
Right.
So it might have been 1988 or 89. I was considering going to seminary.
Okay.
And I was exploring seminaries around the country. And of course, if you're really serious about seminary, you got to look at Union Theological Seminary in New York and CTS, Chicago Theological Seminary.
Sure.
So I went to CTS, me and a friend from here in Des Moines who was also considering that.
Right.
And we spent a day in classes at CTS. And one class that I was particularly keen on was looking at how different denominations regarded regarded the core message of Scripture. And if Frank's still listening, he'll like this element. So it was a fascinating class. It was taught by a I think Brethren minister, and Jesse Jackson Jr. was in that class.
Wow,
it was a fairly small class. I was just visiting.
Sure,
he was an actual student, and I remember he just I didn't actually get to really talk with him much.
Sure,
he participated a little bit, but he just seemed like a very average, down to earth, student. I didn't have any impression of him having this sense of entitlement or feeling like he was above anyone else. It was a good impression.
Well, my memory of it is he was the one who handed me my voter registration card, and it was the biggest hand I ever had shaken or have shaken.
Well, that was his dad.
He has huge
That was
hands.
his dad.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jesse
right.
Jackson. Yes.
Yeah.
They've got the same name.
Yeah.
I'm talking about senior. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm talking about Junior here. I'd met the dad several times as well.
Yeah.
Always liked his sense of humor. Always liked how he would take on David Yepsen.
Yeah.
And people would throw him a question. He'd say, "And you're going to want me to answer that question with David Yepsen sitting in the back of the room?" But no, my impression of Jackson was favorable. It's just, it is unfortunate, and and the truth is, there are a lot more people who become elected officials who do the right thing in terms of obeying the laws than who do the wrong thing. It's just that you hear more about.
Well,
I mean, these are the guys who make the news.
It makes me sad and angry that it happened, but you do have a bit of a sense of justice that it was found out, and he'll face the consequences.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me ask you one more thing, Dan.
Yes.
Unless you have something in particular you wanted to dig into.
No, I'm just along for the ride this afternoon here.
For the ride.
I'm hoping I get home before the storm.
Did you hear
storm
that
hits.
bike? He's along for the ride. We're going to send you back to Newton on the bike there. That bike can handle
Not gonna happen today, Ed.
The biggest problem is you'll have a headwind. What do you think?
I haven't been on the show when the bike talks yet.
Really?
No.
What? That's not true.
Hi, bike. How you doing?
Hi, Dan.
Hi there. Nice to see you.
Doesn't my bike look good sitting in that orange chair?
It does.
Thought it was red.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever color. It's the same color as Dan's scarf. Okay, let me ask you, as a Democrat, Democrats must be feeling pretty happy about the poll results released today. USA Today poll, a Pew Research Center poll with USA Today, finding that the public's views pretty much match with Obama's on a lot of the key issues that he's working on: guns, immigration, climate change. You comparing his views with his proposals with those offered by congressional Republicans, the public comes down on the side of Obama. This has got to be really encouraging to him. Probably makes Democrats overall, party activists, Democrats pretty happy, and I think might indicate some promise for actually seeing some of the hope and change that folks of those of us who campaigned for this guy back in 2008 were expecting. What do you think?
Well, of course, it is encouraging, and it's good to learn these statistics. However, I have to say I'm not surprised. The results of the election indicated that America was ready to head in this direction, and saw Obama's leadership as the way that we wanted our country to go. So I have to say I'm very happy about it, but I am not surprised. Yeah. So.
Well, let me, Dan, I've got to take a quick break.
Sure.
I appreciate you coming in and joining us today.
Yeah.
Especially.
And I want to just add real quickly, hope and change are action words. What we're being asked to do is to change and to move our country.
They're also nouns.
And yes, they are. But I tend to hear the action word when I hear the hope and change. And, and I hope others do too.
And by the way, Oliver Cromwell is also a verb.
Yes.
And it means something horrible that I can't even say on this show. All right. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next Thursday
thank you,
as well.
Folks,
we got one more segment. We're going to talk with Nakisha Phillips, who's been with us every Thursday for the last few weeks, talking about her journey through pregnancy, using a doula, a midwife, and having some experiences that I think are valuable to discuss, especially to those of us who have never born a child and maybe need to be a little bit more sensitive to those who do.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Community CPA is the 15th largest CPA firm in Iowa, providing audit, tax, and accounting services. Community CPA specializes in international tax treaty and double taxation avoidance among countries and states. 9 dedicated, experienced, hardworking staff are the company's foundation, and their compassion towards every client is the secret behind Community CPA's success. At Community CPA, you can expect quality service year-round. Call 288-3188. Community CPA, 3816 Ingersoll. Experience the difference.
Since 1994, Sid's Catering has graced Des Moines area events with quality service and rave reviews. Owner Sid Cohn's culinary career began with a Northeast Iowa vacation home for international clientele. Sid earned a Bachelor of Science in Hotel Restaurant Management and was the assistant clubhouse manager at Des Moines Golf and Country Club. Sid has a passion for fresh, local products and offers a wide range of options, including vegan, gluten-free, and ethnic. Mention the Fallon Forum when you book your breakfast or lunch event and get 10% off. Contact Sid's Catering at 208-2091. That's Sid's Catering at 208-2091.
This is Dr. Holding of the Story County Veterinary Clinic. For 15 years, we have been spaying and neutering feral cat groups at affordable prices. Wild cats destroy game birds and songbirds. A single female cat can produce over 4,000 kittens in 7 years. The shelters are full, so unwanted kittens will be put to sleep. Your cats will stay home and stay healthy. Call us for all your dog and cat needs at the Story County Veterinary Clinic between Ames and Nevada on Highway 30, 1 mile east of Interstate 35, 515-232-8766.
It's time to think about upgrading the efficiency of your furnace and air conditioner. Leonard Tinker Heating and Cooling has provided honest, competent service for over 20 years. Whether it's your home or business, for repair work or to install a more energy-efficient furnace or air conditioner, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422. That's 263-0422. For honest, competent heating and cooling service, call Leonard Tinker at 263-0422.
Nestled in the heart of downtown, Ritual Cafe is one of Des Moines' most unique places, offering a wide variety of coffee and tea. Ritual Cafe also serves the only all-vegetarian menu in town. And Ritual Cafe is a cultural hub for artists and musicians, with a performance stage hosting local, national, and international talent. Make Ritual Cafe a part of your daily ritual. On 13th Street between Locust and Grand in downtown Des Moines. And check out ritualcafe.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
That's Max Wellman, folks. I want to thank Max for providing music for the show. Got concerts coming up on March 13th, March 23rd. He's doing concerts all the time with his trio. I also want to thank Community CPA and Associates for sponsoring the last segment of our program. I want to thank Ying Sa for coming on the show yesterday to answer tax and accounting questions. She can be reached at 288-3188. Folks, thank the local businesses that support the alternative to right-wing radio. They make this show possible, and it'd be great to go out and patronize those businesses. There's about a dozen of them that help make this show possible. Ying Sa, her business, Community CPA, is at 3816 Ingersoll Ave. Give her a shout at 288-3188. I also want to remind folks about the upcoming Bishop Morris Dingman Peace Dinner. This is an award ceremony that will recognize this year Drake Law Professor Sally Frank for her work on behalf of peace and justice. And also Nuns on the Bus. That's right, Sister Simone Campbell, who has made Nuns on the Bus a coast-to-coast phenomenon, will be there to speak. That'll be an interesting conversation. So, again, that's going to be this coming, March 9th, a couple Saturdays from now. March 9th at 6 p.m. at Our Lady's Immaculate Heart in Ankeny. With me in the studio, better late than never.
Sorry about that.
One thing you don't want to be late for is your delivery, right?
Yes, very true.
Okay. Nikisha Phillips, folks, this has been a fun segment because we've been able to kind of talk with her about what it's like going through pregnancy, and perhaps the show will be times for your actual delivery, and you'll deliver the baby here on the show live. No, I don't really want that to happen. No, me neither. Hey, nice hat, by the way.
Thank you. I wore it for you, Ed.
What? And I wore this so I can preserve, so I can keep the glare off my forehead from blinding the audience. And by the way, I love that screaming baby behind you.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to be. That's somebody else's baby, though.
Would not be my child.
So, do we know, girl or boy? Where are we at with this?
We do know. We found out. And
drum roll.
Yeah, we're actually keeping it a secret for the shower. So
really,
which is has proved to be annoying apparently to a lot of people, and
but people, people never used to know.
Exactly, but
I didn't know my daughter was a daughter until about 20 seconds after delivery.
Right, exactly. And for we just decided to find out. It was driving me crazy. I'm not good with surprises, and we were going to keep it secret. And people just, once they know that they get really offended if you don't tell them, especially.
Do they offer you bribes to tell them?
I've been offered a few bribes from
really. What are these cash bribes, or are we talking about something else?
Just they're like, oh, why don't guilty? I guess I've been guilted into trying to tell certain family.
So what do they say? How can you not tell us? Well, you're a horrible child. You're a horrible sibling.
They're just like, how do we know what to buy the child? And I said, well, that's what a registry. Yeah, exactly. That's what a registry's for. And I said, we registered, so you can buy. Well, how do we know? Well, we don't want a lot of gender specific clothing to already put roles on our child, whether it be a boy or a girl. That's all sorts of like baseball player things or like frilly little dresses. Yeah, those are cute, but that's not what we want for our child. So we decided to keep it secret till the shower, and hopefully we'll get things we registered for and need.
So this isn't just a question of being mischievous and enjoying the suspense, and
no,
it's you're trying to protect your child from all these gender specific roles that will be imposed on it through clothing and other assorted gifts.
Yeah, as cheesy as that may sound, and people may not grasp that idea, but that's, as parents, it's our child, so that's what we've decided to do.
Do many other parents do that? They know the identity and then just decline to tell anyone?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you should conduct a study, Ed.
All right. Well, yeah, my spare time, we'll do that. Yes.
Yeah, in your spare time, you should do that. I don't know I think a lot of people decide not to find out, and that's fine too. I was just I'm not good with surprises.
So people do sometimes. Anybody can know these days. You can know. It's just not,
yeah,
it's not
and sometimes you'll go in when you go in for an ultrasound. I went in for the ultrasound, and they asked me, well, do you want to know the sex? And I said, yes. And so, and sometimes when you're looking on the screen, I think that you could probably tell without,
I don't even need to ask for any further details. Yeah.
So, I'm assuming you can probably tell even if you didn't want to know, or if you did want to know.
Right.
So, yeah, so I got into a text message fight with my sister the other day because I wouldn't tell her.
Oh, those are ugly.
Yeah.
Those get nasty, don't they?
Those do get nasty.
And they're getting expensive depending on the type of plan you have.
Exactly. So just a word of the wise, if you know any pregnant people or parents, don't just let them do their thing, just let them reveal the sex.
Now, have your doula and midwife both been supportive of your decision not to identify the gender of the baby?
Yeah, my doula was.
But they know, right?
No.
Oh, you've kept it from them?
Well, my midwife,
You're good.
I'm sure knows, but my doula, no, she doesn't know yet. But Jacqueline was really supportive. She was like, I was asking her advice, and she's like, just tell them, wait till the shower to release the sex of the baby. And
when is the shower?
It is in April. It hasn't been confirmed.
April shower.
Yes.
Nice.
Exactly.
Nice touch.
Yeah. So it'll be sometime in April, and it's going to be held at Ritual Cafe where we both work, and so it'll be convenient.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah.
That's great. Well, congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
Thanks for the update. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
And folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Corey Ludeman is going to join us. We're going to talk about abusive foreclosure practices. That's an issue that's still on the radar, even though it has kind of faded from the prominence it once had during the Occupy movement. We'll also talk tomorrow with Heather Ryan, another one of our regular features. Heather Ryan with Ryan's Rants. We'll see where that conversation goes. Thanks for sticking around, folks. And again, thanks to all of our business sponsors. Please do your part to help make this show possible. Go to my website. There's a button called Support. You know what that means, and you know what to do next. This show is possible because of businesses, individuals, and organizations that believe in an alternative to what you will find on right-wing radio. I say that like Elma Fudd because it just has to happen, I guess. Folks, I want to thank Maddie Arrington, my producer. I want to thank Webcast One Live. Too many W's in my script today. And I want to thank you again for sticking around, joining this conversation, and we'll be back tomorrow.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it.